Bring her back. So I got out to the theater and saw Bring Her Back, the new movie from Danny and Michael Philippou. I believe they are Australian YouTubers, no less. And they had a movie called Talk to Her last year. No, not last year, a couple years ago, I guess at this point. And it got a lot of good praise. I heard a lot of very strong things about it. But for whatever reason, I never ended up watching it. I will at this point, based upon Bring Her Back, spoiler alert. But based upon the kind of reviews and stuff that I had heard previously of the movie and everything, I was like, you know what? Or the directors rather, I was like, I'll give this a shot. Sight unseen. All I know was the name was Bring Her Back. These two dudes were YouTubers or whatever. That's it. I knew nothing else. And now we're going to read you the IMDb plotline, and you're going to know more than I did going in. A brother and sister uncover a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother. That's what we call a cold read, kids. When you cold read and you don't know it. This is directed by Danny and Michael Philippou, written by Danny Philippou and Bill Hensman. Starring, you'll all know her. She's a little lady called Sally Hawkins. She won herself an Oscar, if I'm not mistaken, as well as Billy Barrett, Misha Haywood, and John Wren Phillips. Man, let me tell you something. I went to this bad boy not knowing what to expect. It was pretty sweet having that experience as well of not knowing anything, and I think I would recommend that to anyone out there. The less you know about things, the better. There are far too many people out there that just, kind of go, well, we just do whatever we do. No, man. You don't need to watch all the trailers. You don't need to read all the synopses. As a matter of fact, and I'll talk about it at some other point, but I went to see a movie last night where I didn't know the title of it. I didn't know the title. I didn't know who was in it. I knew nothing about it. It was just kind of like, hey, here's your thing. Go check it out. And so I did. And it was fair. At least it was cheap. I'll say this, at least it was cheap. But back to Bring Her Back. Sally Hawkins plays a lady who adopts these kids whose dad, he dies, but we're not 1,000% sure. Like maybe it was kind of a suicide, maybe it wasn't. It's a little tough to tell, a little murky. But she gets these kids, one of which is blind, and the girl who's blind really just kind of like it got my heart right away, just because not only does she have a seeing impairment, and as you see by the glasses, I have a seeing impairment. I'm not blind, but I do have an outward eye problem in as much as you can see it. And that was one of her things as well, is that not only is she blind and she has the kind of blind, stare and look and everything, she also has, an eye that kind of flicks and, and wanders around a little bit and everything. And as a person who's had to deal with that and the bullying and stuff that surrounded that growing up and everything, and the questions and everything that everything always led to, I get it, man. Like it hit me harder than anything else. And so like 2 minutes into this movie, I'm already just be like, well, stab to the heart for me, because this is like to a lesser degree, of course, because I had full sight and everything. But I too had kids that were making fun of me and, and all other kinds of stuff, because little kids are cruel. They're little jerkheads and everything. So you feel for this character right away. Her brother is kind of protective of her and whatnot. Dad dies, and it traumatizes the whole family, as you might imagine, and everything. Mom has gone away, so these two kids are now orphaned and everything. And before they can go through the system and stuff, the son, he's just a couple of months away from becoming 18 and everything. And at that point, he wants to take custody of his, adopted sister here and everything, and then go on. But we reveal so much about characters and stuff in this, and so that's one of the nice things, is that we kind of plant these breadcrumbs across the way here and everything, and you don't know what's going to happen. And to me, that was one of the best parts of it. And I'm going to kind of be vague for the rest of the review here and everything, because I feel like people need to see this. I feel like this is a movie that people should go out and see. Again, before I get into any more of my glowing recommendation stuff. So Sally Hawkins, who we eventually find out, ran for a like a child care center. She was like one of the people in the place trying to help get kids adopted and stuff like that. And she had previously gone through other adoptions and stuff as well. She had been somebody that had been taking care of stuff. So supposedly, because she was this therapist for kids and stuff, this should be, ideally the right type of woman to put these kids up with. It would make total sense to be doing that. But with this, of course, if that was the case, you wouldn't have a movie. The movie would be over at that point. But no. So essentially, they move in, and Sally Hawkins is just fantastic. She's always a little bit off. Her character is strange, and there's moments where you're just like, wow, she's really loving, she's really caring, and then she does something that is just oh so weird. It's bizarre, and like you're just like, what's happening here? And like, but then she'll wave back, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is fine. Oh, this is good. And it turns out they've got another kid in the house, another foster kid and stuff. And he has decided to become mute, or so we've been told. We find out later on what things are going with him. And as the title might put you into a little bit of thing, bring her back means we're trying to bring somebody back from the dead. Again, I won't go too far into it, but let me tell you what this movie did, man. This movie is why people should be going to the movies. Because number one, first and foremost, though, I do want to preface all of this with this warning. This movie ain't for everybody. This movie may not be for you. And you need to know that. But at the same time, I would probably recommend you go see it because people need to be seeing stuff like this. We need to have those moments where you go and see The Exorcist. You know what I'm saying? You might be grossed out by it. You might hate this, but at the same time, too, you might have a fantastic cinema-going experience. And that's what this movie is, man, because I was squirming in my seat. It doesn't rely on a whole bunch of jump scares. You're not kind of like, ooh, oh, what's around there? But it's constant tension building. It's just like wild, uncomfortable sort of stuff. And then again, absolutely, there is plenty in the gore department. And it's great, dude. It is so great. This movie was made for under $5 million. And this is ultimately what I kind of want to talk about with this review, is that the whole kind of talk around the water cooler right now is how Hollywood's dying. Hollywood is screwing up. People aren't going out to the movies and blah, 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 blah. And there's certainly a level to that to be true. That said, horror movies are made for such a low, minuscule budget and have such a minuscule advertising budget, again, because you don't have to, because it's a genre film, and genre films don't need you ringing a bell all the time going like, oh, we need this. No, you need to just tell a good story. You need to tell something that's interesting, because I'll be honest with you, again, having known nothing going into this movie, certainly less than you have based upon what I've told you, I didn't know where the hell this thing was going. Now, you get an idea of where things might be going, but again, the movie keeps you on enough of a kilt the entire time that you're just like, oh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what we're doing here. But it's amazingly good. Sally Hawkins gives a loving yet menacing performance. And what ultimately this movie does is it does something that, like, here's the thing. If you're a horror fan that's just going in for some gore and some effed up looking stuff, this is the movie for you. But if you like that stuff and or you enjoy a movie that's actually got a little bit of something to say, Bring Her Back is right up your alley. Because let me tell you something. This movie has a lot to say about grief. It's got a lot to say about, loss, how we deal with loss, how loss affects us. and what we would do if put in that situation. To me, because at points in this movie, you will be watching the quote unquote villain, and you're going to be going, I kind of get it. I don't know that I condone it, but I kind of get it. I think if you're a parent too, it's going to be a tough one. But it's got something to say about that stuff. It's got things to say about the cycle of abuse and things like that. It's just really, really great. I was super surprised and just pleasantly surprised. Because, like, not to say that I thought it was going to be bad or anything. I've heard a lot of good notes and stuff, but very, very pleased with it. And it's a movie that I think, again, doesn't have to make much money, and it's already going to be profitable with this. And I think that they need to continue down this line. And that is what I truly think is going to end up being this savior of Hollywood, is guys like this with A24 putting out, sub $10,000 or $10 million movies, $10,000. Hey, listen, Blair Witch Project said, hold my beer. So it's happened before. Same thing with Paranormal Activity. These were movies that were made with no fucking money. And then they said, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to make this cool. We're just going to make something interesting. We're just going to step outside of the boundaries and do something interesting. Here's the thing, dude. We are all pissed off at Marvel and DC and Star Wars and all that kind of stuff for feeding us the same garbage over and over and over again. But there are things out there like horror movies, like certain animes and things like that, where people are going out and they're trying new things. They're not sitting on their laurels. They're not going like, oh, but what about recycling this bullcrap thing for the 58,000th time that no one's really wanted in the first place? And that's half the problem with all of this, is that they just go, oh, you know what we need? And they've been circling this. I've been hearing them circle about it before the whole franchise was even over. But with them doing a new Harry Potter, it's like, what the hell? Who needs this? We've got Harry Potter. It took us a long time to get there. It was a hell of a road. And you know what? By the end of it, it was so awesome when it was finished. Riddle me this, Batman. What in the hell are they going to do over there on HBO with Harry Potter in a television series with, half American actors, half, gender swap, race swap act? Who gives a shit? Why does anyone want that? Why does anyone want that? Can you prove that anyone wants that? I haven't seen a single person that's got their hand up saying, hey, let me be the person who talks about this. I want to be the one who's covered. Like, who's doing it? I don't think that person exists. We got to stop this. And I think that the only way that we're going to save Hollywood is to get our fingers out of our butts. And by our, I mean Hollywood. Not to say that I'm in Hollywood in any way, shape, or form. I most assuredly am not. Do I think that I have all the answers? No, I don't. But you know who I know doesn't? Hollywood. How do I know? I've been watching films like for 40 years at this point. I know what's going on. I've been there through the highs. I am in here during the lows. And all of these studios and stuff, I think I heard Warner Brothers right now, only 15% of their studio space in Hollywood is occupied at the moment. They're killing themselves. And to me, that's ultimately the worst part of all of this, is these guys are killing their own companies. The call is coming from inside the house, children. The killer's inside, and it's you. And the killer's paying the rent for some reason. I don't know why. But that is the case right now. Hollywood has had it too good for too long, and it's kind of over. The run's kind of over, at least the salad days of, throwing around like $500 million movies and saying, boy, I hope this really catches. I feel like that's gone, or at least it's as close to gone as it's going to get. And we may go even further. But I think horror is going to be the thing that gets us out of this rut. And frankly, and I still go see a lot of movies. I mean, the movies are fairly crap right now, but I still go see a whole bunch of movies. And when I do watch them, I'll tell you this much, they're all the same. When I go out and I watch a horror film, though, it feels like we're trying to do something different. It feels like we're trying to do something interesting. And boy, oh boy, is that rarely ever the case with anything that's kind of outside that genre stuff. When's the last time that you went to the movie theater, and saw a romantic comedy? They practically don't exist anymore. I mean, what's the deal? Are we out of good-looking people in Hollywood? I mean, we've already been, I feel like they're even out of ideas as well. You remember when they redid Overboard with Anna Faris and what's his nose? I mean, it wasn't a horrible movie, but you didn't watch it and be like, well, that was really worth it. They don't exist. These movies don't exist anymore, and it's a sad state of affairs. But here we are. But hopefully, horror is going to be the one. Because I'm telling you, when I look at the movie theater release schedule and everything, the thing that I am tripping out most about is any kind of new horror film. They're the ones that seem the most interesting to me. I got Fantastic Four coming out, and am I super stoked about it? No, I wish I was. I wish I was pumped about it, but you know what? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, won't get fooled again. Yeah, exactly. Old Matt says we have comedies at home, and then you have comedies at home, and then they're all Netflix crap that no one wants to watch. I will be honest with you, kids. Even Netflix is working on stuff. Even Netflix is going, we don't know what we're doing. I don't know if you've heard of this. I just heard this one recently. Netflix is looking to get into short form stuff. They're looking to get into almost video podcast stuff. So quite frankly, if HMP does well enough, we could end up on Netflix with our own show. That's not true. That will never happen in a million years, but the joke is funny. But that's how desperate they are for things. I feel like they are so desperate at this point that they might even look to the boys of HMP for programming. That's how desperate they are for material to work with here. They don't know what's going on.